number of people have asked questions about the videos created for System Thinking World. So I thought I'd do a video and talk about the various and sundry tools that I use and how I go about putting it together. So, I mean, I think that the basis is you need to realize that you're trying to unfold a story to the people who watch the video. I mean, much like someone would unfold or actually experience a play where there are a number of actors and relationships, and it's presented in a number of scenes and acts, and the whole thing holds together to tell a story rather than simply presenting a lot of facts and figures and information. When you present a story, people tend to make a connection to the story, and there's a much better takeaway than if you're just presenting a bunch of stuff. So I always look at it as what is it that is the story that I'm trying to convey, and I sort of set the context, unfold the story, and then talk about the essence of what it is that the story is meant to present. Now, in terms of what I create this with, once the story is developed, the story sort of evolves in conjunction with whatever it is I'm developing it in. And it might be one of several things. Early on, well, for the majority of the videos are done in Insight Maker because I've been working with Insight Maker for the last almost 5 years now. And once the storytelling feature was implemented, it made it very easy to unfold a model to people and talk about the story, which I'm doing as part of creating this video alone or itself. But here's an example of Aesop's fable, the boy who cried wolf, which is unfolded in the same way so that it walks through and talks about the relationships between the entities and how it actually holds together and what the story is that it tells. So most of the stuff has been created with Insight Maker because it has a very nice storytelling feature as part of it. Though now that Kumu has entered the scene and we have begun to understand a way to unfold a story in Kumu, even though the storytelling facilities haven't actually been implemented yet, it's well on its way. So from a loop perspective, we can take a model and we can start it and say, here's the first loop, and we can describe that in the profile page on the left and have a link so that it unfolds the next segment of the model and describes that, and finally the final segment, and notice how it highlights the part that is that loop and dims the rest of it in the background, and allows one to interact with it. And there's a video specifically about storytelling in Kumu that you can go ahead and watch. Other things that I have used in the past, I've developed a number of presentations in Prezi, though for some reason I didn't take to it the way that some people have. All of the spinning, rotating, moving in and out just didn't connect. But it's still a nice facility, a web-based, that allows you to create the story and walk through it in a pace that you want to present the story to someone. And the thing that I'm really fascinated with at the moment that I've been playing with lately is something called Powtoons, because rather than simply unfolding the pieces of the story, it actually allows you in a web environment to build this interactive
So, you know what it's like when you want to impress your clients with an amazing presentation? You take your graphs, add some clip art, and spice the whole thing up with some fancy transitions. But somehow, it doesn't always have the desired effect.
So all of what you're looking at here is created with interactively online with Powtoon and then turned into a video that's uploaded on YouTube. So I've started to work with this, and I'm really fascinated about the capabilities. So I sort of have a sense of the story that I'm trying to tell, and I work out the pieces or interactions of that story as I'm building the model to tell the story. The question then is, do I actually write a script for the story that I'm going to use when I present it? Now, I used to do a lot of PowerPoint presentations, and I think most of them were absolutely terrible in that they didn't contain nearly enough graphics, and they had far more text on them than they should have had. And being unable to remember all the text, I used to read the text to the audience, which was, really insulting. Though in terms of how you have a real good understanding of what you want to talk about as you unfold the story, sometimes I find it beneficial to write a script, even though I'm not going to read the script as I unfold it, or at least not in most cases. What I find convenient is to, as I'm building it, I'm actually annotating the story itself. I'm putting notes in it about the pieces, what I want that piece to actually convey to the audience, and then I sort of then simply unfold the model and talk to the pictures as opposed to reading the script. Though with Powtoon, if you want an audio overlay on it, one has to record the audio, develop the animation, and then sync the two together, in which case writing a script is pretty much essential, and then you need a teleprompter to present that script to you so that you can read it at an appropriate pace. And there are a number of those on the web. The one that I have used most often is called Easy Prompter, which allows you to develop a script, and then it will go ahead and play that script for you and allow you to control the speed at which it runs and the size of the type, and simply continue to revise it until you get it to the way that you want it. So you can record that script and then use it if you're going to do the voice overlay for Powtoon. For more professional videos, I talk to the people at TechSmith, and the videos that they do, they actually write the script and record the script and then do the animation and sync it to the audio, and they use Camtasia as opposed to what I'll talk about using in a moment. But the stories that I do, I mean, if you'll notice this environment, there are a lot of additional tabs. This is all done in using Chrome with a bunch of different applications accessed via the web. So a lot of different apps and web pages that are also part of what's being communicated and conveyed, as opposed to just what's on the model that's unfolded. And then to actually size this as to the sort of what size the screen is, there's this little utility that I found called Sizer, and it allows me to set up the screen to the size that I want. And I typically use 1600 by 1900, and actually getting your screen to that size on your own manually is often, an art rather than a science. So Sizer lets me simply come in here and select it and set it to that size. This alternative one that I use allows me to set the screen at the right size so that the internal element is 1600 by 900 as opposed to the outside window. So using Sizer in the apps and the teleprompter when appropriate, all of that is captured in something called Snagit from TechSmith, which is, I've used it for 4 or 5 years now. It's just a real nice, comfortable utility, which I initially used just to do screen captures for images and things. Though with, I think it was version 10, the early part of last year they came out, so that Snagit also does screen captures, also does video capture. Previously I used a product called Camtasia from TechSmith, which it was just too many capabilities for me. I mean, it's an extremely powerful video editing software, and I didn't need that. I just needed something to capture the video as I unfolded the model. So typically there's no editing done on these videos once I get done with them. I just have Snagit upload it to YouTube, and if it's not right, well, it takes me however long it takes to record the video to do it over again. If I mean, once in a while I really mess them up and I throw it away and start over again. And in terms of speaker anxiety, I should be honest with you and tell you that while presently these may seem to unfold rather comfortably, the first 40 or 50 of them that I did I was in absolute panic mode as I was trying to get ready to do it, and I would find almost any reason imaginable not to start doing it because I just wasn't comfortable doing it, and I was afraid that I wouldn't get it right. And finally I followed the Nike guidelines of just do it, and if you don't like it, do it over again and do it until it becomes comfortable. And there are times now when I would much prefer to just send somebody a video that explains something that I'm trying to understand or talk about rather than trying to type an email to explain something that's better described with graphics. So this is the approach that I have used for quite some time in terms of the bits and pieces I use to develop videos, and to do an 11-minute video takes 11 minutes once you got the pieces ready. So hope you found this informative and useful, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.